Okay, hi everyone. I want to welcome you to a new video from runhorse.com sports, and I'm going to talk about today poker tips, and that's something that I really enjoy. It's poker, and I want to offer you a tip today, and that is to how to play a small stack. And a lot of people are afraid when they have a small stack, they have a small amount of chips, they're afraid to play it, and you don't have to be. You don't have to be that way. So let me talk about first of buying into a game with a small stack. Let's talk about a cash game. If you buy in with a small stack, one of the benefits of that is you don't have to worry about being bluffed. If you have a small stack, you only have a small amount to lose. So when you have a lot of money, that's when you have to worry about being bluffed if you buy in with those high amounts. So some of these games that you can buy in for 50, you can buy in for 100, and a lot of people, they might be a 50 to 300 game or 50 to 200. A lot of people like to buy in for the max. They like to buy in for 200, and they like to have that large amount of chips on the table. They like to think they're intimidating. Well, that can be good and that can be bad because when you buy into a game like that, unless it's a new game, there's always someone at the table with more chips than you, so you really don't have as many chips as you think. It can be a lot of times there's someone at the table with 1,000 or 2,000. They've been there for a while and they've been winning. So you have a hard decision if someone wants to make a bluff at you or you get involved with one of those big stacks. Now, if you buy in with a small amount, if you have a small amount of chips, there's a lot of times that I bought into a game, believe it or not, with $50, $75, and I've done pretty well. I've gone up to easily 1,000 or more, and I've done this many times. And now I'm not saying you're going to do it every time, but the thing about it is you have to when you buy in for a small amount like that, you do not have to worry about being bluffed because your only play really at that point is to go all in. So you really have to wait for a decent hand, and I would recommend at that point maybe you call to see the flop. You can call 10, or you can call a small bet, and then once you hit the flop, I would recommend going all in there and hope you get maybe one caller, and that's all that you wanted to take down that pot. But you're going to easily, in that case, you're going to double up or you're going to triple up, so now you're going to have a little bit of a stack to work with. So you can play those small stacks and you can do pretty well. And there's been times that I've been in a game and I've been down to 20. Maybe I got into a hand and I took a bad beat, or I played a bad hand and I was down to $20, $30 in chips. And most people at that point, some people, they just want to rebuy, they want to buy back in. Sometimes you have to be at zero before you can buy back in. That's the table rule. Depends on where you're playing. So they just go all in on the next hand. I don't advise that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't advise that because I've been in situations like that where I'm down to $20, $30, and I've actually come back and been stronger than what I originally had. So if you're patient and you wait for a hand, you're going to have to wait for something, or you wait for position and everyone checked, or you had some folds ahead of you and you go all in at that point, and you can isolate one player, or you get a solid hand, you get one or two players that you can easily double or triple up that stack, and you can be right back into the game. So pick a spot and go all in at that point. If you have a small stack, that's the way to do it. Or I like to call a bet, see the flop, and obviously if I hit top pair, something like that, I have to take a chance and go all in. But you do not have to worry about being bluffed, like I said, because if someone puts you to the test, you don't have anything to lose. So that's one advantageous position to be in, and those stacks will probably not even try to bluff you because they're going to look at your amount of chips you have and they're going to say it's not worth it, so they might just check to you if they don't have a hand instead of trying to bluff you. Where if you had that 200 and you flop top pair with a weak kicker and they thought they could put pressure on you, they probably will, because I played on both sides of the table. I've been with a big stack and with a small stack, and you have to change your strategy when you're playing with a small stack. Okay, so as a bonus tip here, I'm going to talk about how to play short stacked in a tournament, and it's similar. It's similar to what I'm saying. A lot of people, when they get short stacked, they panic and they just make a crazy play. They go all in, or the next hand they just go all in, and I don't see a reason for that, because I've actually been in tournaments where I've almost been laughed at. There was a tournament I won, it's been a while now, but 6 or 7 years ago, where I had the starting stack was maybe 5,000. I want to say 5,000 to 8,000, and I was down to, literally to fell almost. I had maybe $100 in chips, and people were literally laughing at me at the table almost. I went all in, in that situation, a lot of people try to eliminate you. I don't remember exactly what I had, but I went all in with 2 high cards, something like that. I got 4 or 5 callers. They were trying to eliminate me, and I got lucky, or I hit the flop, whatever I did. And now I had, I had 10 times my amount. I was back to about 800 or 1,000. And I actually went on to win that tournament. And I was easily the smallest stack at the table. People were almost laughing at me at that point. And I picked a spot, and I went all in, and I got lucky. And then after that, I had some chips to play. It was still fairly early in the tournament. The blinds were not ridiculous. So they say a chip and a chair, ladies and gentlemen, and it is true. If you play a lot of poker, there will be an instance where you have an extremely small stack and you will come back to win a tournament. I guarantee it. If you play your normal game and you play confidently and you don't panic with that small stack. So you can actually do well with a small stack. It's not the most advanced, it's not the best place to be in a tournament. Obviously, we don't want to be small stacked. We don't want to be short stacked, but you can come back from that. So always have confidence in your game and always play confidently no matter what you have, a short stack or a big stack. And if you turn that small stack into a big stack, then I would recommend that you switch your game around and then you play, more of a focused style. You don't play so crazy, and that's what I would do. So that's another thing. When I played a cash game and I bought in for that small amount and I would go all in, and sometimes if I have 2 high cards on the table on a flush draw, if I have the highest nut flush draw out there, so I have ace 8 and there's of hearts and there's 2 hearts on the flop, and I will go all in because at that point there's no reason. Now I'm going to try to pick up the pot, and if I do get called, what do I have? $50, $60 more. Okay, it's worth it. I go for it. I mean, the pot's probably already 40, 50 on the flop, so I'm getting pretty much the odds I need to call. If I get called, there's no question about it. And a lot of times they'll just fold because they see you're all in and they won't call you. So you can pick up a pot there and you're basically doubling up. So obviously when I get up to a couple hundred chips in, a couple $100, I'm going to play differently then. I'm not going to go all in on the flop in that case. I have some money to play with, so I maybe make a $40, $50 bet, a semi-bluff, or I will check in that position depending on the position. And poker is all about position, and if you watch some of our other videos, you can learn about that as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tip, and if you did, please like and subscribe to our channel, and that's runhorse.com sports. And as always, good luck at the poker tables.